Sri Lanka's economic crisis has hit the country's most vulnerable sections of society the hardest through not only shortages of essential day-to-day goods, but high prices of essential goods available in the market at present. Any International Monetary Fund assistance, if the government does make the request, will not be instant. It will take some time for the IMF to prepare a response. Now, the road will not be easy, and only time will tell if the government's decision will bear fruit. To discuss all this, I've invited to our studios economist and former State Minister, and also somebody who has been quite vocal about Sri Lanka's economy, Harsha De Silva. A very warm welcome. In your view, now, what do you say this government has to do going forward? They've approached the IMF, held talks, and expressed their readiness to work with the IMF, and secondly, floated the rupee. This is something you all have been calling for, and interest rates have been raised. What more, in your view, needs to be done now?
Actually, somebody said Armageddon, no? And most people laughed. What do we have today? You see, people are unable to survive. The IMF has come, and the president says that he will talk with them, and depending on the pros and cons, he may go in for a program with them. That is certainly not good enough. You see, IMF should have been approached a year and a half prior to when they actually did. And the rupee should have been floated long time back, right? And then if they did so, having understood clearly that this is an economic system, that you can't just change one variable, it impacts others. For instance, without hiking interest rates, letting the rupee go was not a wise move. They said 230, now it is at 280. You know, bids and offers are at 275, 290. I don't know where it's going to end. And they haven't changed the monetary management practices even today, even though they have stopped printing, actually stopped publishing the money printed figures since 2 days ago. We understand about 56 billion rupees got printed today. So they are in a mess, and they are going further into a crisis.
So are you saying that they're not moving in the right direction with these steps that they have taken? This is something you all have called for. So is this not sufficient?
We called for it long time back.
But they've done this now.
No,
so where do you think they
what
they
have they
should go
done?
now?
This is a day later dollar short. I mean, they have put millions of people into misery. Even now coming here, I couldn't pass the Alexandra Shed because of such a queue to get diesel. You know, people have been made poor at least by 25%, right? And for what? Because some people had egos to protect. Why did they not listen? See, the problem is so complex. I don't think they can even figure out where to start. And it is not going to get any better anytime soon unless they sit down and say, look, we made a massive mistake, right? Let's admit we made a huge mistake, and we got to start putting it back. You know, just dropping taking the peg off is not helping. It's not helping.
What do you think led to this situation? You were in government from 2015 to 20, and we've invited you here because we know you talk constructive. You want the economy to go right. You and the Honorable Iran Vikramaratne too approached the central bank governor too to address this. So which means there is opposition, there are stakeholders who are genuinely interested in fixing this. But is admitting this the solution? Where do we go from here? What people want to know is how do we fix it now? Okay. And where did we go wrong? 2015 to 20, you were in government too. We are talking about successive governments over the years.
No point in talking about the past. Nothing is going to change. We got to look at the present. We got to look at the future, because this is my country as much as it is your country. All of ours, nation this is. We were born here, we live here, we will die here. We are only citizens of this nation, right? First, now we need to restructure the debt. Without restructuring the debt, the IMF can't help us. because by mandate, IMF cannot lend to countries whose debt is not sustainable. And we haven't still seen the report. We have been asking for the report in Parliament. It hasn't been tabled. We don't know what is in there, right? First, once the debt sustainability analysis report is presented, and perhaps we'll have to do a much more comprehensive one, and you have to now start negotiating the restructure. You know, we are going to default. It's so unfortunate. For 73 years, we kept our flag flying, and these people took the flag down. I mean, how embarrassing is it? How inadequate do we feel as people, when, as Sri Lankans, when we meet foreigners? You know, and why? Because of egos? Because of not understanding the complexity of the problem? You see, yes.
Debt restructuring, we'll talk about that. That's your priority, as you say, that this country should look at now. But where do we go from here? Where do we start? Now we've seen the government approach India. We have another $1 billion coming in from there, and then we're talking about other investment opportunities that they're seeking. But again, how do we manage our debt?
See, what we got from India is a short-term credit line. We are not getting a single dollar. We are getting dal and medicine and fuel. That's what we are getting. We're not getting any money to pay our debt. We just do not have money to pay our debt. You know, deal with it, right? We $475 million came due today on Sri Lanka development bonds. At least till 4 o'clock, 3:55, instructions hadn't gone to banks to pay the money, right? We heard around 4 o'clock instructions did go. But we have come to the absolute bottom of the pit. Right? We just do not have money. Right? We don't have money to clear oil tanker. We don't have $60 million. We have to borrow from people.
How would the Samagi Jana Balawegaya address this? You all had a protest this week, and the calls were made to the government. There was a demonstration there. But wouldn't you want to sit with the government to give solutions?
Where is Basil Rajapaksa? Where has he even discussed the matter in Parliament? For 3 months, he hasn't answered a single question, right? Since the speech he made on the 10th of or 17th of December, no, 10th of December, he hasn't addressed Parliament. You know, they are talking about having an all-party conference in some hotel, right? What is the point in having an all-party conference in some hotel or at Temple Trees? Because the Constitution gives full control to Parliament. That is the 148 of the Constitution. Right? So first we have to discuss this matter in Parliament. This is a grave problem we are facing. You know, Sri Lankan people have become poor, like I said, at least by 25%. Once the numbers come out, what's going to happen to our GDP per capita? It is going to drop from 4,000 another 25%. We will be as poor as Bangladesh come the next week when the results are announced.
Right, that's all the time we have on the news tonight, but thank you very much for your time. We had with us economist and Samagi Jana Balawegaya parliamentarian Dr. Harsha De Silva.